Buzz down, Tatiana. Buzz down. Buzz it down. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, buzz it down, Tatiana. Get ready to unleash chaos as Carnage returns to Marvel Future Fight. The bloodthirsty symbiote is ready to carve a path of destruction. No one is safe. We get the slideshow once again. Let's go ahead and see what they're cooking up on the forums. This symbiote can turn its tissues into bladed weapons, but he chooses to use guns. Thanks, Marvel writers. Has combined with the most brutal and violent host. Yeah, Carnage. Absolute madness. Or Cletus Cassidy, whatever. Absolute madness. Check out the new looks of this supervillain who has become even more cruel with great powers. It is not the last sneak peek. So this is for the mid-month update for next week, for those of you that are confused, or for those of you that just don't pay that close attention to things, which is totally fine. There's, you know, obviously more important things to do. Happy Thanksgiving to Americans, etc. But yeah, this mid-month update should be landing on the 3rd of December. Well, it depends on your time zone. For people on the you know, North American, South American side of things, it should be on the 3rd of December, late at night, like 10, 11 p.m. And then for everybody else, it is on the 4th, early in the morning, or early in the afternoon kind of thing. But it's a mid-month update, so you're not going to have to, the game's not going to go into maintenance. You're just going to close the game and reopen it, and it'll prompt you to download it once the patch has started going out. Second video coming out today as well. Keep it locked here on the channel for another video. You download it and you're done. I'll be here on YouTube on that day, the 3rd at night, live, checking out Carnage and whoever comes next. Now we know who comes next, okay? It's Null. Yeah, it's Null. So I'm very excited. However, let's finish talking about Carnage here, because he is getting a new uniform. Some people on Twitter didn't know, and they were like, hey, is he getting a tier 4 or just the uniform? My dog, Carnage has had tier 4 for 2 years. Wake up. Wake up, Mayor. Okay, let's check out the slideshow. Slideshow here now. Yep. This is the suit we're getting. Tranquilo, if you think that it looks ugly, it's gonna look better in game. It's gonna look smoother. The lighting is gonna be better. Whatever. Honestly, it doesn't look bad. What I will say is this: the only thing that I think looks bad here is the teeth. They look kind of flat. Hopefully, in game, it's not just one texture. It's not just like one layer where the teeth lay completely flat on the top and the bottom. Hopefully, they've like extruded the bottom layer so that they look like 2 layers, so it gives it some depth and some sort of like 3D-ness. However, a lot of people are complaining about the look of the character. This is not an original look. This is not an original design. Oh, looking at me. It's not an original design in Marvel Future Fight. This is straight out of the comics. Unfortunately, not all comics are good. That's just the gosh darn truth of it. So enter to Superior Carnage 2013. It was a 5-issue run, and it prompted people to ask, you know, very telling questions like, why does Marvel insist on giving symbiotes guns? And this was over on the subreddit for comic books 11 years ago. So if you're having these feelings now, let me tell you right now, you are not alone. 11 years ago, 170 people were like, you know what? I agree. And yet here we are. So, yeah, we're getting Carnage, but he's got guns, just like Venom, who just got guns. There's his guns. Again, the guns look super low res. Don't sweat it. It'll look way better in game, like Agent Venom looks, etc., compared to what we have now. But yeah, it is what it is. Not my favorite look for Carnage necessarily. I think there are absolutely cooler looks, but at the same, that's Claw, by the way. At the same time, Ulysses Claw. At the same time, this kind of supports, like, there were definitely cooler. There were definitely cooler looks that they could have gone with. Although I think this is a good look in terms of going away from what they've done recently, right? Because what they did before was they did King in Black Carnage. and so they gave us this version of Carnage. And this version of Carnage, it's probably his coolest version for now. So unfortunately, we've kind of already peaked with Carnage, and whatever they were gonna like look at this. Don't look at this and tell me that there was a better design than this. There's no better design than this, right? So we had to peak at some point. And if we didn't peak 2 years ago, we would be peaking now. However, I think the fact that they went with something that looks so different, for one, is good. Oh, god damn. For one, is good. Yo, that's In-Hyuk Lee, man. He's so talented. Anyways, for one, it's good that we went with something so different, because I've had this opinion for a while now. Marvel Future Fight needs to, when they update characters who already have uniforms, the new uniform needs to be completely different, right? Just having a uniform that's slightly different looks-wise, I think that's a huge turnoff for players, and I do think most players agree with that. You know, if nothing else, right? Even if the uniform is not a big upgrade in terms of the gameplay, at least aesthetically, it should look completely different, and it should have completely different skill animations, etc., right? It's got to look different in order for the value to be there, because otherwise the value is not there. So I do give them a bit of, you know, I want to give them a bit of credit, because if you compare that we got 2 years ago to what we're getting soon, it's obviously night and day, right? It's completely different. No black staff, no like crazy armor pauldrons, very tight, very small, very close to the body, very monochromatic, and then the weapons look cool. The weapons themselves look cool. It's the guns, and it's the weird like flat top head shape that they gave him, like the tetrahedron condition. I don't know what's going on. He needs Rogaine or something. I don't know what the deal is. But yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't like the cape. I think the cape looks really stupid. It looks like, you know, chasing the Matrix back in like 2005. But that's not the choice of the devs, right? They have to faithfully recreate, to some extent. They have to faithfully recreate what's in the comics if they're going to do what this comics look. However, like I've said about Venom, and the fact that they chose a Venom look that's not very good, or rather not very popular for Venom, they're now choosing a look that's not very popular for Carnage. A lot of people don't know this is Carnage, or they're like, what version of Carnage is this? Punisher? What the hell is going on? And I think this points to the possibility that they're going to release, like, they have longer term plans that we cannot understand just yet. They have longer term plans for the symbiotes. So I could see Venom getting another uniform in a year or two. Carnage getting another uniform in a year or two that really brings them back in line with their classic look. Because right now, for both Eddie and Cletus, they have looks that are not classic. They have looks that are more out there, weirdo style, and that's cool. That's all well and good, but I do think it points to you know, another future. And if you haven't been keeping up, it's a bit of a spoiler here, so I'll warn you guys ahead of time. Venom has recently gone gold, aka Super Saiyan, in Venom Wars. And again, I could absolutely see the devs doing something like this for Venom in the next year or two to really, you know, celebrate the character's return to kind of quote-unquote normal, or quote-unquote the baseline look of his uniform. So yeah, that's essentially my take on Carnage. As far as the character goes, he is coming back to the game 2 years later, you know, presumably alongside the new Agent Venom, presumably alongside Sleeper, alongside new Null that we're going to see momentarily. As far as his own kit goes, and what we need for him to really, you know, juice up to the next level, I don't know exactly. I don't know. I think he's pretty good. He has iframe ignore. What I would say is this: he has iframe ignore. He has a damage taken accumulation, which is good, very good for PvP, and he has 90% chance to penetrate. So they did give him a lot of really good effects 2 years ago. What I would say is probably they need to improve his iframe ignore skill a little bit, because it's not that good. The damage that it does itself is not that good. And that's basically it. Like, it's a decent skill, but you can see it's quite short, right? Those tentacles are cool, but it's quite short. And it doesn't, and because it's his third skill, it doesn't do much damage. Whereas his 4th skill, if that was his iframe ignore, oh, buddy, he would be shredding. Look at that skill. Even his 5th skill, if that was his iframe ignore, you see this has a lot more hits and actually does a lot more damage. So that's my basically only complaint. I personally am not expecting a huge change up for Carnage, despite the fact that he's a 2-year-old uniform. Some people speculated that he could be losing the healing tag and getting the weapon master tag as well, because Venom got the weapon master tag when he got a bunch of guns, and now Carnage is getting a bunch of guns. So it's definitely possible that he gets the weapon. Oh, you know what? Venom kept the healing tag. That's interesting. So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen to Carnage. Maybe he'll lose the no, he can't lose the evil tag. He has to keep the evil tag, and he has to keep the symbiote tag. So yeah, if he's gonna lose a tag, it has to be healing. But it'll be interesting to see what they do for Carnage. As far as the rest of his kit, I'm not too sure what they can do. Obviously, he has the immortality artifact, so he's good to go. He's locked in for PvP and a revival there. It just depends on how strong they want to make him. And again, it's going to be interesting because of Null. So the emergence of Carnage, this is the other thing I wanted to talk about. The emergence of Carnage here and the fact that he's being released side by side with Null means that it's possible we don't get a PvP Null. It's possible that we're going to get a very, very PvP-focused Carnage, which is similar to what happened 2 years ago. And he's going to complete the symbiote team. So Silver Surfer, Carnage, Sleeper, Agent Venom, Spider-Man. Boom. You're just slapping your veiny symbiote arms on enemies' faces. That's absolute possibility. And then on the flip side, they're going to, rather than releasing Null as well as a PvP Giga Threat, which would kind of overlap with Carnage and confuse players, they release Null as a usable PvP character because he has self-cleanse, he has immortality, right? He's got a lot of PvP weapons, iframe ignore, but they release him as a PvE juggernaut, and he replaces Loki for the universal villain and the universal male alien content, because they're both aliens and they're both universal. They're exactly the same, right? They're both male universal alien villains. I prefer that scenario now after further consideration because I absolutely hate playing Loki. So this is a bit of a personal vendetta that I have against the Trickster. And I also am just beside myself with tears that I've been wasting this CTP for so long. I literally used Loki for nothing besides those 2 days of ABL. So I'm sort of hoping, listen, it's one of 2 scenarios. Well, it's one of 3 scenarios. It's the one I just explained where he's a PvE juggernaut and he's usable for PvP. There's the other scenario where he's a PvP juggernaut and he's usable for PvE, in which case I'm a little sad. And then there's the third option where they kind of just bungle him and he's not good for anything. I'm not saying this is what I want to happen. I'm just giving you guys the ideas. Anyways, or like the possibilities. You got to consider all futures. Anyways, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching the video. Smash the like button if you enjoy the content, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.